hit me up in the chat if you have any questions or comments about what I'm talking about here. Now, living without goals. Should we have goals? And the answer is sort of. This is something that I've really changed my opinion on. I used to believe that setting goals is really important. I was always goal oriented. I was also always miserable because I'd never achieved my goals, or had I achieved them, I'm on to the next one, and this one, like, I didn't even celebrate it. So and I think that's a place where probably 95% of humans live, or more, probably 99.99% at some point in their life. This is such a fundamental human thing. But the fact is that when you break out of that cycle, which anyone can do, meditation helps a lot, you start to look at goals a little differently. Usually what happens is you had all these goals, and then you're starting this kind of new thought process, and you then try to have no goals. Be perfectly content with where you are, which is exactly how you should feel. But you realize, like, I got a plan. I got to, there are things that I need to do in my life, or at least not just sit at home on my couch all day. So what is that going to be? And at some point you start to think about what might be. And that's the real important part, is setting visions. So you don't want to set goals, rigid goals. You want to have visions that you are unattached to. And that's the key. So you are giving yourself time. This is really great practice, visualization. If you haven't read my ebook yet, you're definitely going to want to check that out. It's in the comments below in the description. And this book is all about how to practice visualization in order to live the life you want. Whether that's you want to start a business, or you want to be a leader in your community somehow, or you just want to be happier and you want to see yourself being happy and figure out what you would be doing to be like that. That's what this book explains. The other thing I just did last week is I made my full 7-day course, which is called the Visionary Business Manifestation Program, completely free. I was selling it for $267, and I've made it free so that more people can do it. And we've had way more people signing up ever since I did that last week. So I hope that helps you. It's a 7-day audio course, 20 minutes a day, completely free. I'm not going to try to make you buy anything from me, and it'll help you. So you're welcome. And getting back to this, like, that whole practice of visualization is what I have found very helpful in starting to figure out what will make me happy. Because what we fall into a lot of times is setting up goals that are based on what society thinks. And it's usually happens, it's a subconscious process, and it usually happens without us really even knowing it. And so, I can think of, this is the most recent thing for me this week, and it's going to kind of sound ridiculous, I think, a little, but to relearn Spanish, I watch a lot of telenovelas and like Latin TV series with my girlfriend at night. And my Spanish is getting really good again. I lived in Chile, I lost it all. So, and I go to Mexico a lot now. So I was just watching Luis Miguel La Serie. Luis Miguel is pretty much the Justin Bieber, Frank Sinatra of the 80s and 90s in Latin America. Very famous, very famous. He was a child star who is still famous today. He's like 50 years old now. And, I hate to say it, but it got me comparing myself, even though this guy had such a terrible childhood. Like, his dad probably killed his mom, unsolved mystery, but most likely. He didn't talk to his mom for like 5 years before then. His dad was cheating with his mom and then died of AIDS. Tough life. His dad was very hard on him. very famous, very successful. And somehow I found myself kind of comparing myself to him. Like, what is it that I'm going to be known for? Like what achievements am I going to make? And as I had mentioned, like, this is something that, I had really struggled with for a long time. Kind of annoying to see it coming back. And so this one led me into really a self-realization around getting back to being content with where I'm at today and what visions for what I might want to do, but really just being open to wherever the universe takes me. And that's the secret of the Tao, because the Tao has two meanings. The Tao is the essence of the universe. It's the singularity, infinite singularity that created it. It's also the flow that emits after it. So the Tao, and if you're a hardcore scientist, I understand that these things may not, they may not sound like they have factual proof, but what you can do is you can practice transcendental meditation, reach a level of pure consciousness, and then decide for yourself. That's what happened to me, because I did not used to believe in anything like this. And I've been studying quantum physics as a hobby since I was in 5th grade. So I was very, very scientist, and, eventually started having these realizations. And the Tao, it's the starting point. It's the infinite nothingness. It's also the flow that was created from there. It's the flow that created evolution. Evolution's part of it. So, and evolution starts at the Big Bang. So, we have an intention that's moving matter through the universe, creating, plasma, forming into stars, which then form into planets, which then form into sometimes life, and et cetera, et cetera. And eventually that evolution leads to the highest point in evolution that we know of, which is self-realization of living beings and a reconnection with transcendental consciousness, which then leads to another level in how people live, really. So these things that I'm talking about, I'm not the first to talk about them, but they are things that I study very deeply. They are things that I truly strongly believe in are true after looking at all of the possible scenarios. And what the Tao really describes is how to live according to that. And so that's why I'm really fascinated by it. And I think that, you can probably tell just from listening to it, it's really describing a lot of self-fulfilling truths. They are just very basic truths.